Welcome to Headphone News, Greater Toronto edition for Thursday, November 28, 2024.
Home invasion in Mississauga leads to arrests. On November 18, 2024, a home invasion occurred in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Two men forced their way into a home while armed with firearms. The suspects, posing as service workers, gained entry when a small child opened the door. During the incident, the child and an employee were tied up while the suspects demanded valuables. Fortunately, both victims suffered only minor injuries. The robbery was interrupted by a neighbor, which prompted the suspects to flee in a vehicle driven by a third person. Peel Regional Police quickly identified the suspects, leading to the arrest of a 29-year-old man at a federal parole facility in Toronto on November 21. A second suspect, aged 27, was arrested shortly after and faced similar charges, including robbery with a firearm. Both men appeared in court in Brampton and were held pending bail hearings. This incident raises concerns about community safety in Mississauga and highlights the ongoing issue of repeat offenders.
Funding needed to address homelessness in Waterloo region. Councillor Erb from Waterloo region in Ontario, Canada, has urged provincial and federal governments to provide more funding to tackle homelessness. A recent point-in-time count showed that 2,371 individuals are currently homeless in the area, which is more than double the 1,085 reported in 2021. This sharp increase in chronic homelessness underscores a serious issue that demands urgent action. The region's plan to eliminate chronic homelessness will require millions of dollars to put into action. The Community Services Committee will meet next Tuesday to discuss this important matter and consider possible solutions.
London City Council approves 2025 budget. On November 28, 2024, the London City Council in Ontario, Canada, approved the 2025 budget, which includes a 7.3% tax increase for residents. This is a reduction from the previously expected 8.7% increase. Homeowners with residential properties valued at an average of $252,000 will see an additional $260 on their tax bill next year. Mayor Morgan highlighted the necessity of this tax increase to fund essential municipal services amid rising costs and limited support from higher levels of government. The budget discussions began in late October 2024 when the mayor proposed amendments to the multi-year budget approved in March. During these discussions, funding for the Neighborhood Decision-Making Program was cut, saving $250,000 annually, while the annual Community Grants Program was halved to $250,000 per year. Despite the tax increase, the budget allocates $1.15 million to Arcade Street Mission to assist its services for the unhoused population. Additionally, water rates will rise by 1.5%, and wastewater treatment costs will increase by 5.4%. Projected tax increases for 2026 and 2027 are set at 6.4% and 6.8%, respectively.
Concerns raised over Ontario's Highway 413 project. A group of 120 scientists is calling on the federal government of Canada to mandate an environmental assessment for Ontario's Highway 413 project. They are concerned that the highway could threaten endangered species and disrupt local ecosystems. This proposed highway would span 52 kilometers, connecting the Peel, Halton, and York regions. Critics argue it may not reduce traffic congestion in the Greater Toronto area and could contribute to urban sprawl. Recent legislation, known as Bill 212, allows construction to start without consulting Indigenous groups or completing an environmental review. The scientists stress the need to protect vulnerable species and habitats as development pressures continue.
Ontario supports federal GST holiday. The Ontario government supports the federal Liberal government's decision to pause the Goods and Services Tax, or GST, for 2 months. This tax break will apply to items like prepared food, toys, and certain types of alcohol. The goal is to provide economic relief to consumers during the holiday season. However, Ontario estimates a revenue loss of about $1 billion Canadian dollars, roughly $740 million. Premier Ford backs this initiative, confirming that Ontario will also eliminate its provincial sales tax on these items. Other provinces, including New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island, are requesting compensation from the federal government for their lost revenue during this tax holiday.
Search continues for missing Thunder Bay man. Thunder Bay police are asking for public assistance in locating Joseph Lawson, a 67-year-old man missing for 2 years. Lawson was last seen on November 27, 2022, in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. His family is heartbroken and still searching for answers. Despite extensive search efforts, including drones and K9 units, no clues have been found. Lawson is described as 5'6" with a medium build and long gray hair. At the time of his disappearance, he was wearing a black baseball cap and a light-colored jacket. A tip line is open for anyone with information, and a reward is offered for leads that could help find him.
Toronto stock market hits record high. On November 27, 2024, the Toronto Stock Exchange reached a record closing high of 25,488.30 points, marking an increase of 83.16 points, or 0.3%. This rise was fueled by gains in consumer-related sectors and utilities. Investor confidence strengthened as concerns about potential U.S. tariffs on Canadian imports began to ease. Following an announcement from U.S. President-elect Trump about a proposed 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico, initial worries had spread among investors. However, analysts now suggest that the impact may not be as significant as initially feared. The consumer staples sector rose by 1.9%, while consumer discretionary stocks climbed by 0.8%. Shares of Parkland Corp increased by 5.1% after the company announced a stock buyback program. Alimentation Couche-Tard also experienced a boost, with shares rising 4.3%, thanks to positive ratings from analysts.
Toronto uses birth control to manage pigeon population. Toronto, a city in Ontario, Canada, has started a new initiative to control its pigeon population. The city has installed feeders that dispense birth control for the birds, aiming to reduce the number of pigeons by 50% each year. The latest feeder was placed at Nathan Phillips Square on November 27, 2024, making it the fifth feeder added to the city. Previous feeders were installed on rooftops over the past 2 years. Dr. Attard, the city's chief veterinarian, mentioned that this project addresses complaints from residents about pigeons causing messes and disturbances. The feeders allow pigeons to lay eggs that will not hatch, which helps decrease their numbers over time. Each feeder costs about $500 per month, and the city plans to evaluate the results of this project in 2025.
Stillborn baby body lost by Etobicoke Hospital. A troubling incident occurred at Etobicoke General Hospital in Ontario, Canada, involving the mishandling of a stillborn baby's body. In the fall of 2021, Rachel Osborne Hutchinson delivered her daughter, Aya, stillborn. The hospital agreed to conduct an autopsy, but the baby's body was never sent to the correct facility. After 6 months, the hospital was unable to locate the body. Nearly 2 years later, in July 2023, the hospital informed Rachel that they had found Aya's body. The Chief Coroner of Ontario will now perform a DNA test to confirm the identity of the remains. Health Minister Sylvia Jones stated that an investigation is not necessary at this time. This case highlights significant concerns about hospital procedures and the emotional distress faced by families.
Kelowna to host Memorial Cup in 2026. Kelowna, located in British Columbia, Canada, will host the Memorial Cup in 2026. This tournament showcases the best junior hockey teams from across Canada. The Kelowna Rockets, part of the Western Hockey League, will be the host team. The Canadian Hockey League made this announcement recently. Kelowna last hosted the Memorial Cup in 2004, when the Rockets claimed the championship title. Local officials anticipate that this event will bring significant economic benefits to the community. similar to the 10 million Canadian dollars generated during the 2004 tournament. The city has allocated 3.7 million Canadian dollars for renovations to the Prospera Place Arena to ensure it meets the required standards for this major event.
Tokyo Police Club bids farewell with final shows. Tokyo Police Club, an indie rock band from Newmarket, Ontario, is saying goodbye after nearly 20 years. The band is holding a series of farewell shows at History, a concert venue in Toronto. These final performances began on a Tuesday and are sold out. Band members met at Sneaky D's, a well-known bar in Toronto, to reminisce and celebrate their journey together. Keyboardist Graham reflected on the band's history, recalling their frequent visits to Sneaky D's during their early days. Drummer Greg expressed appreciation for the chance to end the band's journey on a high note. This farewell signifies the end of an era for both the band and its fans, emphasizing the band's lasting legacy and the emotional bonds created over the years.
Arrest made after highway shooting in Toronto. Toronto police have arrested a 29-year-old man following a series of violent incidents on Highway 401. The suspect allegedly shot at several vehicles after a violent carjacking on Wednesday night. Police detained him at Lake Shore Boulevard and Carlo Avenue, where he was found with a firearm. One victim suffered serious injuries during the carjacking. This incident follows another shooting in which the suspect fired at more than 10 vehicles on Highway 401 near Dixie Road in Mississauga, Ontario. Authorities have confirmed that there is no ongoing threat to public safety. That is all the news for today. Thank you for listening to today's Headphone News. News summary brought to you by AI.